So in order to find out whether or not the Hellfire Club has indeed been a part of the attacks on them in Chicago and New York and whether they're spying on them, the X-Men decide to infiltrate one of their big parties on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. You have Wolverine and Nightcrawler in their costumes. They take the sewers, so they're gonna try to go in through the back door, while Jean, Scott, Peter, and Aurora all dress up in nice party clothes, and they decide that they're just kind of walk in the front door and get in the party and then just search around in the party.
Like Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut?
Yes, exactly like Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut.
Aurora, even I have heard of some of the people here. Some of them are my countrymen. How could such as they plot the destruction of the X-Men?
That's what we're here to find out, Peter. We're both bait and trap.
Sure, all of you, the monitor screen. Look who's here.
However, the Inner Circle immediately sees them on their monitors, they know who they are.
Like Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut?
Yes, like Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut. And they challenge Mastermind to finally really prove his worth.
What a pleasant surprise! Phoenix and Cyclops of the X-Men. Pierce, search the club. If they're here, the other X-Men can't be far away.
Because he's been going around professing that Jean is his body and soul. So Sebastian Shaw, who's the leader of the Inner Circle, is well, guess what? She's here. Why don't you have her lead an attack and help us capture the X-Men? So Weingard now has to put up or shut up. So he decides to go downstairs. He cuts in on Scott and Jean on the dance floor. He casts a new illusion in Jean's mind.
Jason Weingard gathers Jean in his arms and sweeps her away, and as he does, reaches into Jean's mind, and once more turns the clock back 200 years.
He just instantly sweeps her off her feet. She's just totally in it. She's totally here. She goes with him. He starts taking her up the stairs. And Scott is what the fuck is going on?
That's Jason Weingard. And now, one look at him and it's as if I don't exist anymore.
He knows about these time slips. Jean's told him about them, so he's really suspicious of what's going on. He's following them up the stairs and realizes that Jason is really Mastermind. But before he can alert anybody else, Jean, now in her full Black Queen mode, totally blasts Scott unconscious.
So she's just turned into the Black Queen instantly, just like that?
Well, Mastermind has been working on Jean for years at this point, and just because she has the powers of a god, it doesn't mean that, she's invulnerable to manipulation and psychic attacks and things like that. I mean, she's still just a 20-something-year-old girl. She's very naive about a lot of things. And so finally, Jason, gets her to completely disassociate from herself and become this character. She's fully immersed in this illusion that she's the Black Queen of the Hellfire Club of the 1800s. She's not even in the same time period right now. She thinks she's in the 1800s.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
So Storm and Colossus know something's gone terribly wrong. They zap into their costumes and they go try to find out what's going on with Scott. They're immediately captured by Sebastian Shaw. Then you have Nightcrawler down below. He's captured by an Inner Circle cyborg named Donald Pierce. And Wolverine is flushed down the sewers by another Inner Circle member named Harry Leland. And now that the Inner Circle has finally captured the X-Men victorious, they raise a toast to their new Black Queen.
I, Sebastian Shaw, propose a toast to the Hellfire Club and our Black Queen. Long may she reign.
And it's at this point where Wolverine finally gets to have this super rad solo adventure.
Okay, suckers, you've taken your best shot. Now it's my turn.
He doesn't have Cyclops or Xavier telling him what to do. He just goes around, he totally cuts loose. He starts slicing and dicing Hellfire goons like it was nothing.
Your mistake, bub. It all run limbs.
Just going through them like butter. And he even has this really awesome Dirty Harry moment where he's just do you feel lucky, Hellfire goon?
Only one goon left.
Don't move, fella.
He's scared. Can't say I blame him either. Let's see if I can make him feel worse. Hey, bub, I know what you're thinking. He's hurt and he's 5 meters away from me, and I got a full clip of ammo in my rifle. Question is, can I kill Wolverine before he can reach me and cut me into shish kebab?
And the guy gets really nervous and drops his gun. It's too good.
Shoot, I was hoping you'd go for it.
Meanwhile, the captured X-Men are being held all together in a room among the Inner Circle. And during this time, Scott has this really kinky, like, gimp helmet put on so he can't use his blasts. And he's, like, desperately trying to find a way to shock Jean out of this illusion. And he remembers the psychic rapport that she installed in New Mexico. So what he attempts to do is enter her mind to free her from this illusion.
Wait, what? Goes in their mind?
Yes, this is totally like Inception, where you have Jason casting this illusion in Jean's mind and he's there with her, and then you have Cyclops who enters inside of her mind, and then they get in a tussle and Mastermind challenges him to a sword fight, and they have to have this dramatic duel for Jean's psyche.
Okay.
Yeah, this is something that happens in the X-Men. That's one of my favorite things, is when they go into each other's minds and have like weird psychedelic adventures. So it's a thing, it happens. But this is like the first time that Scott's ever done anything like this. Now Scott, being new to the mental plane, is not nearly as adept as Weingard, who ends up totally thrashing him and impaling him with his sword, winning the duel. And in real life, Cyclops falls over seemingly dead. And now Jason is just like on cloud nine, man. I mean, everything he's been working towards, he believes has come to fruition. He's captured the X-Men. He's totally gonna be in the inner circle of the Hellfire Club. And now he believes that Jean, seeing Scott die, will cut her off completely from the X-Men, and that she'll be the Black Queen now and forever.
So that's it? The story's over? He won? The bad guys won?
Not exactly. Jason is a little arrogant here, okay? And he makes a huge mistake. Because when Jean sees Scott die in her mind, the shock of seeing the man that she loves, like the love of her life, being killed is essentially like a cold bucket of water in her face, and it wakes her up to this illusion. And she's like, what's going on?
Evening, folks! The name's Wolverine!
And right as she wakes up, Wolverine busts through the door, covered in Hellfire footmen.
Black Queen, stop Wolverine!
That, Jason, will be a pleasure.
Jeannie, what are you doing?
Jean, don't!
And Jean uses Wolverine's appearance to cause a distraction. She uses her telekinetic powers, she flings Wolverine across the room, but while everyone's watching this, she also uses her telekinetic powers to break the locks on Scott's ruby quartz gimp helmet, allowing him to use his optic blast to free his other teammates. And then there's just a total free-for-all fight now with the inner circle of the Hellfire Club.
I smash you, will poke your big shadow today.
What? Nightcrawler? Your swashbuckling overconfidence will be the death of you!
I've lost my telepathic tap on Jean's mind, but how? I anticipated every contingency.
During the fray, Jean is finally completely awake, and she's finally beginning to understand all of the things that have been happening to her for the past 2 years, and the just fucking depth of the manipulation, okay? And how she's been violated, both psychically and physically, by fucking Mastermind. You made a mistake, Jason. You slew the man I love before my eyes. Okay, she is so mad. She's never been more upset in her entire life. And so she goes and she finds Mastermind hiding like a bitch in a room, okay? He's like making himself look like the wall. Instead of enslaving me forever, you shocked me awake. You set me free. Too late.
No, I compensated for that reaction. My powers, they should have...
Your power is nothing! Do you have any idea what you've done? What forces you've set in motion? You came to me when I was vulnerable. You made me trust you, perhaps even love you, and all the while you were using me! And Jean decides that death alone is not a fitting punishment for what this man has done to her. She wants Mastermind to suffer. Through me, you sought power! I'll give you power, Jason Weingard, such as no living being has ever dreamed of!
Please, no!
She decides to give him a taste of what it would be like to be a god. And he experiences the infinite, okay? He becomes a god for just a moment, and he sees all the conflicting truths of the universe. He experiences cosmic madness, and it leaves him a gibbering idiot. His mind is totally turned to slush.
Yes.
So now the police are en route because, the Hellfire Club is still just a kind of a kinky sex club, and they've called the cops because they see all these fucking crazy costume people running around. So the X-Men have to book it out of there. They all get on the jet.
Here come the boys in blue. Better late than never. Aurora, what trouble's Scott? He seems so driven all of a sudden, like a man possessed.
I know, Peter. We're all alive, unhurt. You'd think that would make him happy.
And while they're on a jet, you know, they're in safety, Jean finally has a moment to take a breather, and all of these things that have happened to her, all of these dark things that have been going on, really start hitting her. Oh, Scott, your mind's an open book to me. I know your feelings, your thoughts, what you're trying to do, but it's too late, my darling, for me, for us, for everything. She realizes how she was been raped and manipulated by this guy who is like supposedly, you know, like comforting her during all of her torment, and he's really just some fucking villain, you know? Okay, so that's gotta make you feel terrible, okay? That's horrifying. She's also thought Cyclops was dead for a while, then he came back, then she sees him killed in her mind, which makes her think he's dead again, which shocks her another time, and then she finds out that he isn't. Then you also have the fact that she feels like she's been enjoying those illusions that Jason Weingard put in her mind. Like she was enjoying tasting the dark side, and she knows that she enjoyed destroying Jason's mind when she like made him taste the infinite. Like she liked it, and she doesn't know what to do about that. Like she doesn't even understand that she could enjoy doing something like that. And because of all of these things, the weight of all of these events just compound upon her.
We ought to be flattered. Looks like they rounded up an army to take us on.
Against an army, Wolverine, you would have at least had a hope of survival. Against me, you have none.
What?
Genie?
Gods of the earth and air.
Oh no. No.
And the dark, repressed part of her psyche comes forth, and she becomes the Dark Phoenix. No longer am I the woman you knew. I am fire and life incarnate. Now and forever, I am Phoenix! The Dark Phoenix is the personification of the unconscious impulses and desires that Jean refuses to acknowledge within herself. In other words, it's her shadow self. According to psychologist Carl Jung, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. If you think about it, Jean has identified herself as one of the good guys her whole life and actively opposes dark forces. So when her repressed side is triggered by all of this massive trauma, whilst also channeling the power of a god, she is transformed into the Black Angel, the Chaos Bringer.
Ooh.